So my number one film that shaped my relationship with my grandparents is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory from 1971. This is a film directed by Mel Stewart, starring Gene Wilder, Jack Albertson, and Peter Ostrom. The plot summary: a poor but hopeful boy seeks one of the 5 coveted golden tickets that will send him on a tour of Willy Wonka's mysterious chocolate factory. So this is a film I'm sure a lot of listeners are familiar with. It's based on a famous Roald Dahl book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This film, and why I have it as my number one, is to me it always represented the ideal relationship, or what I would envisioned as like the ideal relationship between a grandparent and a grandchild, in the relationship that Charlie, who's the main boy in the film, has with his grandfather, Grandpa Joe, and how what they do for each other, how their relationship changes over the course of the film, and how they're both teaching each other lessons that are very important depending on what their stage in their life is. I mean, definitely Charlie and Grandpa Joe have a special relationship in the beginning of the film. You see them kind of talking alone at night. They have a special bond. You know, folks who haven't seen the film, Charlie's a poor British kid, and in his house, his dad is not around. We don't really know. I think his dad passed away. They might even say it. His mom's a working mother. Yeah. She's always out there working, and both sets of grandparents live in their house, but they're bedridden. They're just literally in a bed in the center of the house. They never get up. They never move. But Grandpa Joe seems to have energy that he's trying to always encourage Charlie's dreams. Oh, you got to be dreaming. You got to dream big. You know, the mother even, is encouraging Charlie to get a job. And the first line I think even Grandpa Joe has in the film is, oh, that boy works too hard for his age. Like, he should be out there having fun, which is what, a grandparent who's not having the responsibility of raising the child or the responsibility of caring for the child, it's on the parents. They're able to say these things and sort of want their kid to, you to be a little, maybe break the rules, be a little more crazy, live life to the fullest, because they have that perspective. Now they're really old, and they know there's not a lot of time left for them. So they're trying to live their life to the fullest, hopefully. And that's sort of something that they can pass down to their grandchild. And then there's the back and forth in this film in the beginning too, around spending money on one another between Charlie and the grandfather. They're very poor. Charlie brings home some money from his work, but then gives his spare change to his grandfather to buy tobacco instead of using it on himself. And the grandfather uses that money and buys a chocolate bar for Charlie to hope that he wins the golden ticket, which is this competition that everyone's after. You have to buy the chocolate bar to get the ticket. Unfortunately, there isn't a ticket. And then when Charlie finds spare change on the street, he uses it to buy chocolate for himself, has a little left over, decides to spend that money on his grandfather and buy him a chocolate bar, and that's the one that has a golden ticket in it. So it's because they're showing affection by sacrificing this money and spending it on each other that actually leads to eventually Charlie going to the factory and spending time there with his grandfather too, who miraculously kind of like jumps out of bed, or at least as a child I always thought it was miraculous, because you think he's maybe not able to walk anymore because none of his grandparents are getting up, and all of a sudden he wins. Charlie wins the golden ticket, and Grandpa Joe's dancing around. So Charlie's giving Grandpa Joe that gift of youthful energy too. So they're both able to trade off on one another and give them gifts, and that actually leads to more things in the film that I'll get into. But I want to sort of have you jump into the conversation a bit. And have you seen this film before? What is your thoughts on this film and then Grandpa Joe?
Yeah, I've seen it before many, many years ago. I remembered bits of it, of course, and the amazing Gene Wilder performance.
Yes.
It's funnily enough that the interaction with the grandpa and such, I kind of remember that more from the Johnny Depp Wonka movie in my head as compared to this one, just because I think I've seen that more times because it used to be on TV a lot. So, but it was super fun to kind of visit this movie after a long time. And, we can share our thoughts on the movie separately. But yeah, their relationship is very interesting in the sense that, yes, to everything you said of, the two of them learning from each other, giving each other, energy and helping each other. But I also love the fact that the grandfather character is not portrayed in this perfect, pristine, adoring grandfatherly kind of way. He has those qualities, but he's also flawed, like all people are. He makes some poor choices. There's greed involved when they're in the factory, and that leads to maybe not so positive outcomes. And you see the same thing happen with Charlie as well, who actually, in many ways, Charlie is perhaps more grown up than even the grandfather.
Yes.
In his resolve,
more mature.
More mature. And that's, again, is sort of true to life, and And like you were saying, they're all bedridden, but I think Grandpa Joe probably has been like a child at heart person from the beginning, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he just gave up on life, or there was no reason to really get out of bed, literally. And
Right,
I think
right.
this whole thing kind of does that. I don't even know if any of, maybe all of, none of them are bedridden, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
There just has not been any reason to do anything more. Plus, it's like a very small apartment to begin with. And there's something about the bond they share, but there's also something about the childlike excitement that Grandpa Joe himself possesses. That, and I remember these moments with my grandparents that every often they were almost more excited in the toy that I got. Or they were
Yeah,
more
yeah.
excited in the dish that we just ordered, because I remember this, like they didn't grow up eating a lot of Chinese food, and I have like a vivid memory of my grandma eating noodles. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the first time, but really relishing them with like a childlike enthusiasm that, oh,
Yeah.
this is so tasty and the textures are so interesting and blah 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 blah. So once again, it's a reminder, right? Like these are not just old people, they are fully etched out people, and they have desires and wants as well. So I thought that's very sweetly portrayed in this movie, but it has a little bit of an edge to it,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
No, I think that's a really good point too, that he's not, yeah, this ideal, perfect version of a grandfather or just even a person. There's when they're in the factory, he encourages Charlie to break the rules and drink this fizzy lifting drink that eventually gets him into trouble at the end of the film. Because slowly, I'm sure most listeners have seen this film, but slowly over the course of the movie, each of the children who wins the prize, basically Willy Wonka's doing this to find the perfect person to take over his factory for him, and has that childlike wonder. And most of the people, the kids have all these flaws, whether they're selfish, they're greedy, they're gluttonous. It's, they all kind of get eliminated, and then Charlie's the last one left, and you think, oh great, he won. But then he gets in trouble for the thing that the grandpa actually encouraged him to do. Oh, let's sneak and take some of this drink and do this thing. And then he gets yelled at, and actually they're leaving. And this is definitely a moment where Grandpa Joe's not a role model here. He's saying, oh great, now that we're leaving, you have a piece of this secret candy, and we can take it and give it to one of his competitors. Willy Wonka's, what a horrible guy he is. He's screwing us over. Let's get him back and do this like revenge act. And that's the moment in the film where Charlie realizes, actually, no, that's not the right thing. He's learning from his grandfather's flaws, which is something I think the best relationships, you learn from the negatives of your, whether it's your partner or your, a familiar relationship or even a grandfather. You see them doing something wrong, and then that helps you teach you what to do right. And that's the moment then where he gives back the everlasting gobstopper, which is that secret bit of candy that he had, instead of passing it over to a competitor. And that's what ends up winning. And so in a way, Charlie's success in the end of getting the chocolate factory, winning the contest, not the golden ticket, but the actual real contest, which is getting the factory, is because his grandfather acts in anger of like, oh, let's screw this Willy Wonka guy. And seeing that example, Charlie realizing that's the wrong thing to do, teaches him. And I think if the grandfather had said, oh no, we should give that back, maybe Charlie does it because he listens to an authority figure, but he doesn't have that agency. He's not making that decision himself. So it wouldn't really be a teaching moment if someone's telling you to do something, the right thing. You have to see that in yourself. And actually, by someone telling you do the wrong thing, if that helping you learn what the right thing is, I think that shows more to Charlie's character. So again, even though the grandfather is flawed, he's teaching Charlie to be a better boy and a better person, and ends up winning the contest at the end. So I think that having him be flawed and not perfect, I think, is an important part of the story, which again, I give credit to Roald Dahl for. That's the book that this is based on.
It's incredible. And the movie is just absolutely amazing. And Gene Wilder performance, the special effects, the music, it sort of has this sweet but haunting and unnerving sort of quality to it. It's from a child's point of view, but it's also not. Like, this movie is so complex in its rendering, I think.
I agree. And it's funny you mentioned that you'd seen the Tim Burton version with Johnny Depp more often because it played on TV a lot. I mean, that's the reason why I saw this movie, because it would run all the time on cable when I was a kid. And I don't think we didn't own the copy. I don't think I ever like rented it from the video store or the library. Maybe I did once or twice because it was on TV so often that I was just able to, see it several times a year. And it really is for my generation, or our generation, I think, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but it sort of seems like our version of like Wizard of Oz in a way of like, this is just a family classic that's on TV all the time that sort of gives you that same feeling that Wizard of Oz might have given our parents' generation. Totally. I love Wizard of Oz too, and that was also on a lot on cable as well. But this movie is I think inheriting that.
Totally. It's a great comparison
kind of thing. Well, I guess I should correct myself. It wasn't an instant classic. This movie actually was a flop when it came out. Didn't do well, was not well reviewed. And it wasn't until the 80s when it was just consistently on cable TV that sort of became at first a cult classic. And now I think it is a classic. And I love when that can happen too, when the movies are good, but they're just not, there's something about it in the way that when it was released at the time, or maybe the audience wasn't ready for it. It wasn't finding its audience. But the content is so great because this movie is, like you said, Gene Wilder's fantastic. The music, which to me is very important in a musical, are great. Like some of these songs are, the Oompa Loompa song, the Candyman song. I mean, these are songs that you're immediately humming after you finish the movie.
Pure imagination.
Pure imagination. So great.
That's just amazing. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a fantastic film. And I love how cable TV can do that. And it's in a way sort of sad that I don't think, with the landscape we have now of just streaming services and there being 1,000 movies at your fingertips all the time, there isn't this opportunity for something that might have not been well seen 20 years ago, just being out there by osmosis. It becomes a classic because it's always on TNT or USA or all these channels that used to run all these movies, especially around the holiday time when you're sitting in front of the TV as a kid. I just wonder if we're losing something there, that there's all these hidden gems that'll never become classics anymore because of streaming. I don't know. That's a different conversation. I mean, to take it a little bit off topic, but this movie made me think of that when I saw it.
Yeah, you're totally right. There's something about just a casual repeat viewing that makes you see something in a different light. There's so many movies that I've seen that. But yeah, this was so fun to watch again. And I think now this one will probably be in my rotation. It hasn't been so far, but now it will be.
It's a fun, especially around the holiday time. And we mentioned, the grandparents and this being a kind of a holiday themed episode. Yeah. But I this was a movie that was always on Thanksgiving and Christmas time on TV, and I definitely associate it with the holidays too, which again is what I associate my grandparents with, because that's mainly when I'd see them.
Yeah.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.